Randy, when my brother was made the deputy minister, there was one thing I told him.
Of information?
Yes, I told him that he has a Herculean task because he's been given a responsibility to defend the indefensible.
Is it that everything, tone, demeanor, everything has changed from the previous discussion?
No. But Randy, what do your people put out?
I told him that Kojo Ponkrumah was my colleague at the faculty at Jimpa, and when he was main information minister, I told him, you are just been given a rope to hang yourself. Because you will be forced to defend things that people will sit back and ask questions about your own level of intelligence. Because you see, sometimes in government takes certain decisions which on your own is indefensible, but you'll be saddled with the responsibility of defending it. It's a very difficult PR work. And that is what my brother is going through. Let me say this. By the grace of Almighty God, I had a responsibility of serving for at least a year on COCOBOD. When I was Deputy Minister for Trade, I was representing my minister on COCOBOD. So I became familiar with the in-tradings of COCOBOD. And I said, when I started hearing of losses, that's why I was telling Slide that we are all MPs. Before COCOBOD syndication is done, they present to Parliament the previous cash returns and also records. So the obvious truth is that for years, consistently, COCOBOD have been running at a loss. You remember that's why recently Eric Opoku was trending when he asked a simple question. That if you're giving money to go and buy something and sell, and you run at a loss, then you are not a worthy servant. You see, the problem I'm having is the fact that consistently one thing I've seen about the government is the fact that they are not candid, they are not truthful, and they don't take responsibility for. Sometimes, let me also give them the benefit of that. Sometimes unexpected challenges. But it's only fair, like you said, that in communication, the difficult situations are the things that you have to explain and get the sympathy from people who listen to you.
2.3 billion.
So, if, like Sly said, consistently we'll be affected by the swollen shoe disease, we'll be affected by the policy of replanting, and I said our yield has not been able to meet the expectation of both our investors and the country. It's only fair and proper that we communicate and communicate well to the people for them to understand us. But Randy, this replanting that they talk about was initiated under John Dramani Mahama.
Which one?
Cocoa trees that have existed for more than 30 years. There was a determined policy under the Opuni Cocoa administration, under the chairmanship of Ohinaji Kuma as the board chairman, to cut down those trees and replant in order to improve upon their yield. And dramatically, in 2016, and I'm happy Atu has put it here, we almost got 1 million tons of cocoa. 1 million tons. So if today we are hovering around 450 and 400, it is legitimate that Ghanaians must be made aware. When Ghanaians ask questions, they must have answers, because it is their property. And I'm happy Sly mentioned Galamsey. Consistently, people have talked about the consequences of unbridled Galamsey activities on our cocoa industry, even on our water bodies. So, when a government elected by the people have seen consistently that there are dwindling fortunes when it comes to our cocoa production as a result of this activity, and government irresponsibly do not take a decisive action to prevent that from going on, then the government cannot turn back and use it as an excuse for not being able to achieve targets. This swollen shoe disease is not a recent occurrence. It has happened so many times. But a responsible management of COCOBOD have always taken decisions and taken actions to mitigate the effect of that disease on our cocoa sector, on our cocoa production. It's always been there. So that can also not be an excuse. Because in managing situation, it's like somebody who runs a poultry farm. The person always have at the back of his mind that any little mistake could set in a disease that could consume all the birds. So what do? You take preventive measures to make sure these things don't happen, and even when they happen, will not affect the farm that much. So COCOBOD today cannot really use the occurrence of swollen shoot as an excuse for the low production. What clearly is the case is that COCOBOD has not been managed well in recent times. There has been total mismanagement. Look, I remember when we did that press conference on the issue of COCOBOD last year. Everybody talked about the fact that COCOBOD spent close to about $1.something million on administrative expenses alone at the headquarters. And everybody was asking questions. If we go for a syndicated loan and we only come to use that money to, let me say, as they say in Akan, chayenu at the headquarters, at the expense of the poor cocoa farmer, what happens? The issue is also clear that, like Randy, you pointed out, in 2023, COCOBOD projected almost 800,000 metric tons. They ended up with 450,000 metric tons, to the extent that for the first time in the history of Ghana, we had to import cocoa beans to offset the difference. This is a known fact. It was presented to us in Parliament. COCOBOD has to buy from other countries to offset the difference in order to meet the demands of our investors. Because we're taking their money and we have to meet their demands. We have to meet their supply. Let's be truthful about this. One, the issue is that we went to the market looking for money. As normal, like me sitting here, if I've gone to a bank, any of these local banks, asking for a loan, Randy, because I earn a monthly salary, they'll ask for my paycheck, my pay slip. They will look at how much I have. And they will ask themselves whether I have the capacity to be able to repay the loan I'm looking for. What they call in the parlance whether we are loan worthy or credit worthy. Clearly, anybody who looks at the books of COCOBOD today would say that the COCOBOD is a sick organization. Consistently has been running at a loss. Consistently has not been able to meet the demands of their investors. So who, in its right sense, in the financial market, will want to put money into the hands of COCOBOD when they know that at the end of it all, they will not be able to pay back? So in June, when this proposal was made, I know that if COCOBOD were convinced about the fact that they will be able to raise local financing to meet their purchases, they wouldn't have made a proposal in the first place.
Could it be that the local financing was a plan B? Believing that they could have problems with the plan A.
Really?
So once the plan A is not gone through, they're resorting to the plan B.
Possibly. But what I would say is that you and I sitting here, having regard to the recent financial malaise we face in the country, the difficulties we've had with our finances in the country. We have situations where basic things, the government is unable to raise funding to meet those expectations. As we sit here, me and Sly, our last rising has not been paid.
But that's a commercial arrangement.
What I'm saying that there's no money.
No.
The Minister of Finance himself recently told us that they have difficulty in raising monies to meet.
That doesn't mean the banks don't have money.
You see, I think the issue is not just about raising the money to meet that demand now. How sustainable is this strategy?
The big question for me, and because the COCOBOD has not given the details, the big question for me is that if just a year ago, investors in COCOBOD
yes,
have been given a haircut,
yes,
what will be the motivation
for them to
invest
money
in COCOBOD
yes,
again?
This is simple analogy.
But I just got the information on this issue about the profit in 2022. It is not 35 million, it's 2.3 billion.
Okay.
2.3 billion.
Yes. By the audited account.
If you look at what was shaved off,
yes,
I'm coming.
Yes, it
I'm
is
coming.
possible.
So,
Randy,
it is
also
that money,
confirmed that
money
it is not
profitable
as a result of the head cut.
But what?
It's a result of the higher prices on the world market, prudent management because they reduce a number of things. So it is not as a result of the head cut. So I just want to place that on record. That what you sought to put out.
How much of a haircut have the
profitability as indicated in the audited account?
Yes.
It is not as a result of the head
No,
cut.
I'm just asking you that
Randy,
those who
I'm
bought
just
the COCO bonds
Yes.
have
How much
received
did
a
they
haircut?
suffer? Yes. How much did they suffer?
And a renegotiated term.
So
How much was shaved off?
So,
that
Randy,
debt which sits in the book on the books
the
of COCOBOD.
audited account of COCOBOD is a public document.
But did that take account of the amount of money that was shaved
I'm
off?
saying that it is not, and the operative word, it is not the profitability recorded in the audited account. It is not on the basis of the head cut.
Okay.
And again, it is not 35 million, a 2.3 billion as recorded. So you can go.
So no, but it's a simple issue. Like the way the question Randy has asked, did that audit report also bring the analysis of how much was saved as a result of the haircut?
I don't have that fact.
So the issue, that's why I'm saying that, you see, before they came out with a press conference yesterday, as legitimately as Randy asked, tell us the strategies we are going to embark upon to be able to move away from the past, as they call it. But if you say, we shall tell you in due course, what it means is that we have not critically sat down to look at what is there, what we have to do to restore this.
These are your deductions.
Yes, it's simple. No, it's simple deduction that every reasonable person will do. It's like, if I'm going out to make a press conference as a PR person, I want to know what is the situation, what is the problem, what is the problem to be solved, and how are we going to solve that problem? The mechanism to use, does it reflect our objective? Does it reflect, will it sit well with the person who's going to listen to me? The person who I'm going to address, how will the person analyze what I'm going to give to the person? It's simple A, B, and C that we do, every PR person does before he goes to organize a press conference like this.